Welcome to KinoCheck News. Marvel is discussing a comeback of the original Avengers, including Iron Man. There's information about Five Nights at Freddy's 2, and Disney is rethinking its Snow White remake after receiving a lot of criticism. That and much more is now being covered in this week's news, so stay tuned. Some time ago, it was announced that a third part of the popular Sicario film series was in the works, starring Benicio del Toro. Now, rumors are becoming increasingly prevalent that some of the other characters in the series might return alongside him. In an interview with Collider, producers Molly Smith and Trent Luckenbill revealed that, in addition to Benicio del Toro, Emily Blunt and Josh Brolin would also be interested in reprising their roles for Sicario 3. There was also talk about who could take over the direction. Among others, Mission Impossible director Christopher McQuarrie is said to be a hot contender, with whom they are already in close contact. The screenplay could once again be the work of Taylor Sheridan, who also wrote parts 1 and 2. Since Sicario 3 is currently still in a rather early phase of development, there is no information about a release date or a storyline yet, but we will keep you up to date as always. The God of Thunder could return after all. Another standalone movie of Thor is on the schedule, which according to initial rumors, however, will come along with a big change. After Thor 4 Love and Thunder received mixed reactions from fans and also failed to live up to the box office takings of its predecessor, Thor Ragnarok, it now seems that Marvel wants to take a new approach with a fifth installment. As Comic Book Movie reports, Hollywood insider Daniel Rickman addressed Marvel's plans for a new Thor film in his solo podcast, and that apparently it will no longer be directed by Taika Waititi. This decision shouldn't come as much of a surprise, since the majority of fans can no longer relate to Waititi's colorful and goofy style anyways. Actor Chris Hemsworth also stated as a condition for his return that the character would have to be subjected to a significant change. In the current MCU plans up to 2027, Thor 5 does not seem to play a part at the moment. Should there nevertheless be another adventure of the God of Thunder, then it is not expected to happen anytime before 2028. We will keep you up to date on further developments. The Five Nights at Freddy's movie is currently running in theaters, and already director Emma Tammi is talking about plans to make Five Nights at Freddy's 2. One thing is for sure, it's a colossal task to turn such a popular video game franchise as Five Nights at Freddy into a feature film and meet the expectations of millions of fans. In an interview with Variety, Emma Tammi mentioned how difficult it was, above all, to direct thrilling horror scenes that would also be suitable for a young audience. She focused primarily on the game itself, which was more suspense and heart-stopping moments rather than the particularly gory scenes. Thus, in the US, the movie received a PG-13 rating. She was especially happy about the guest appearances of some influencers who helped the games to become world famous. Mark Fishbach, aka Markiplier, who was unable to be present due to a tight schedule, was one of the people she would have loved to have seen on the big screen. However, she would like to change that in possible Five Nights at Freddy's sequels. In these sequels, actor Matthew Lillard is also planned to appear. His character development is intended to take place over the course of 3 films. But according to the director, the success of the first movie must be awaited. If Five Nights at Freddy's 2 and Five Nights at Freddy's 3 are to follow, then she wants to base them on parts 2 and 3 of the video games, respectively. Beyond that, there's of course plenty of potential for further adaptations. After all, the franchise comprises 13 games and numerous books. There can be only one. The first rumors of a Highlander reboot starring Henry Cavill already had fans excited. Now, more information has been announced that should further increase the anticipation. According to Deadline, the production company Lionsgate has secured the rights to remake the movie of the legendary swordsman and will provide it with a budget of $100 million. Since the Highlander reboot will be released in 2025, rumors are increasing that filming could begin as early as next year. In terms of content, initial information suggests that the movie will be based on the original from the 1980s. Director Chad Stahelski, however, wants to direct it as kind of a John Wick with swords. The script will be written by Ryan J. Condal, who previously worked on House of the Dragon as well as Rampage with Dwayne Johnson. Stahelski wants to establish a new franchise with the movie, which will include various interpretations and formats of the Highlander brand. For example, a live-action and animated series and a spin-off called Highlander the Raven. The original Avengers could come back for another film, a plan that is currently the subject of heated discussion at Marvel. Whether Jonathan Majors will stick around as the supervillain Kang, however, seems highly doubtful at the moment, as there is a lot of unrest happening behind the scenes. The MCU is in trouble. in serious trouble. The quality of the movies and series has been on the decline for years, and the interest of viewers is also dwindling. The people in charge are noticing this too. Last September, studio chief Kevin Feige and his colleagues discussed the situation at an annual meeting in Palm Springs. There were 3 major topics, according to Variety: the many flops of late, the overwhelming workload of streaming projects, and the legal scandals surrounding Jonathan Majors. Due to the situation around the Kang actor, Marvel is locked in a stalemate. Since Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania at the latest, he has been established as a new major antagonist around which the following movies and series are to revolve. According to insiders, this is also to be made clear, once and for all, in the final episode of Loki on November 9th, not to mention his titular role in the new Avengers movie, The Kang Dynasty. When the first allegations of abuse made against Majors emerged in spring, Marvel was still playing for time, as work on the Avengers movie wasn't scheduled to start until early 2024 anyway. Unfortunately, the situation continued to worsen, and the writer's strike prevented the company from adjusting its plan for future projects. According to internal sources, the idea of giving up Majors already came up when Ant-Man 3 flopped at the box office. At the meeting in Palm Springs, various alternatives have now been discussed, according to Variety, including an alternate villain none other than Dr. Doom, best known as the antagonist of the Fantastic Four. Even a recasting of the Kang role is not entirely ruled out. After all, a recasting has already happened a couple times in the history of the MCU, albeit only for supporting roles. The other 2 points of criticism are closely related and can be summed up as follows. Marvel has taken on too much. At the end of Phase 3, the strategy was to never have a gap in superhero content and to always have at least one feature film or series running. The result was chaotic conditions behind the scenes, poor organization of projects, and overtaxing of CGI teams due to impossible deadlines. Movies and series were released with unfinished effects, people in charge like Victoria Alonso were fired, and the CGI teams joined together in a union to fight back against the working conditions. Viewers were also overwhelmed and tired of the amount of content, some of which could only be comprehended if they had seen everything else. The MCU's only theatrical hit was Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 by James Gunn in 2023, and he is now the new head of Marvel's biggest competitor, DC, of all places. Now the question is, what is Marvel planning on doing to turn around the negative trend? Some measures are already noticeable. The reboot of Blade with Mahershala Ali was initially supposed to be released in 2023, but was repeatedly postponed and rewritten due to Kevin Feige's dissatisfaction with the project. In addition, its budget was lowered significantly. Also, the series Daredevil Born Again was recently set back from the start, even though most of it had already been shot. Less money, less pressure, more time. That seems to be the new MCU approach for more quality and reduced losses, at least for some projects. But what about the really huge projects? The big Kang story is pending, and the new superheroes are having a rather rough start with fans. According to various sources, there are thoughts of bringing back the old Avengers, including Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man and Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow. If Marvel were to take this step, it would definitely not be a cheap movie. There is another glimmer of hope. Following the takeover of 21st Century Fox, the X-Men and the Fantastic Four can finally be integrated into the MCU. Thus, Marvel has some popular characters up its sleeve that fans are interested in, without having to trouble any other heroes for a major hit. We're eager to find out whether Marvel can turn things around. What are your thoughts on the matter? Are you still hopeful that the Marvel brand will soon represent quality again? Or is it too late for that? We can't wait to read your opinions in the comments. News from Daredevil. Most recently, nearly all of the material from Marvel's new superhero series was ditched. Now it seems that a new creative team has been found to breathe new life into the project. Daredevil Born Again is undoubtedly one of the biggest series projects that continue to be eagerly awaited. However, the production of the series has repeatedly attracted attention due to problems, most recently with the discarding of the footage shot so far and sacking of all the writers and directors. As stated by The Hollywood Reporter, Dario Scardapane has been chosen as the new showrunner. He previously worked on the Punisher series and Tom Clancy's Jack Ryan, among other projects. In addition, the directing duo of Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead, who previously directed Loki and Moon Knight, have been hired. The number of episodes Daredevil Born Again will comprise is currently unclear. Marvel will retain some scenes and episodes from previous production, which will then be merged with the newly shot. The signings of Scardapane, Benson, and Moorhead could be an indication that Marvel now wants to work more closely again with showrunners and executive producers for their own TV division to ensure a better quality of their products. It remains to be seen whether and how this will be reflected in the upcoming series. News about the fairy tale princess. Disney is postponing its live-action adaptation of Snow White to 2025 and published a first image as part of the announcement. The live-action adaptation of Snow White is probably one of the most controversial projects that Disney will be responsible for in the next few years. The production period of the film was characterized by shitstorms and debates. Thus, the announcement that the film will now be postponed to March 21, 2025 is likely to be met with reserved reactions. At least we now get a first impression in the form of a picture, on which the character embodied by Rachel Zegler can now be surrounded by the 7 dwarves. During production, there was criticism of the plan to replace the classic dwarves with magical creatures of all shapes, sizes, and genders. So Disney now decided to replace the former cast with animated characters. In addition to Snow White, Pixar's science fiction adventure Elio is also getting a new release date and will now hit theaters on June 13, 2025. You still want to watch more content? Well, it's your lucky day. On our channel, we've got new movie previews for Venom 3 and The Batman 2, as well as a series preview about Netflix's upcoming Avatar: The Last Airbender live-action series remake. We hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks for watching.